Hey everyone, and welcome. Can you believe it? We've made it. We've been on this incredible journey all semester, digging into the really complex world of abnormal psychology. And today we've arrived at our final chapter together.
That's right, this is it. Module 11, the final module of the course. Just take a second and think about everything we've covered, from anxiety and mood disorders all the way to schizophrenia and personality disorders. You've put in so much work, and this moment right here is the culmination of all of it.
So before we jump into our last topic, I really think it's important to just pause. Let's take a beat and really acknowledge the journey that's brought us all here.
You know, a course like this, covering so much ground, it doesn't just happen. It takes some serious organization and a real commitment from your professor to guide you through it all. And just as importantly, it took a ton of dedication from every single one of you to show up and grapple with this challenging material. So from the bottom of my heart, congratulations on making it to this point, for real. Okay, so with that said, let's get into our final topic, neurodevelopment. And trust me, there's a very good reason we saved this for last. In a way, it's the chapter that lays the foundation for everything else we've studied this semester. So, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, as this module lays it out, neurodevelopmental disorders are conditions that pop up in childhood, and they impact the very building blocks of a person's development. We're talking everything from how they learn in school to how they make friends and navigate social situations. So why end the whole course here, right? Well, it's because when you start to understand conditions that begin this early in life, it gives you this crucial new lens to see everything else we've talked about. To really get the whole story of abnormal psychology, you kind of have to go back to the very beginning. So let's do that. Let's take a look at some of the core conditions this module gets into. And what you're going to see is that they cover this incredibly wide, really diverse spectrum of human experience.
First up, we have intellectual development disorder, or IDD. Now, the module points to an IQ score under 70, but, and this is so important, it also has to come with challenges in adaptive functioning. So this isn't just about a test score. It's about the practical, real-world skills we all need for daily life. Things like handling money, taking care of ourselves, or figuring out public transport.
Next, the module highlights 5 different communication disorders. You've got language disorder, that's difficulty using and understanding language, and speech sound disorder, which is more about the physical act of making the right sounds. But it also includes things like stuttering and even social communication disorder, which is all about those unwritten rules of conversation, like taking turns when you talk or getting sarcasm. It just shows how amazingly complex connecting with other people truly is. And then we have autism spectrum disorder, ASD. As the definition here points out, it involves challenges with social interaction and communication, and you'll also see restricted or repetitive behaviors. But the most important word on this slide is spectrum. The experience of being autistic is incredibly different from one person to the next, which is a really core idea in the whole neurodiversity movement. Okay, look at this number, 7.2%. That's roughly the global prevalence of ADHD in kids, according to this module. That is a huge number of young people around the world. But the critical thing to remember is that ADHD isn't just some kid thing people grow out of. It very often continues right into adulthood, and it's so often misunderstood or missed entirely, especially in girls and women. So we've looked at a few of the diagnoses, but just knowing about them, that's only the first step. The part that's truly powerful, the whole point of studying abnormal psychology, is figuring out what we do with that knowledge, and that brings us to the power of intervention. This slide just nails a key takeaway from the module. Effective support is a team sport. It's not a one-person job. For conditions like IDD, where the challenges can touch so many parts of a person's life, the best interventions involve this whole coordinated network. You've got caregivers, clinicians, the community, the whole family system, all working together to build a supportive environment. I want us to just sit with this quote from the module for a second because this is huge. When it comes to treatment for something like ASD, the goal isn't to cure or fix someone. The goal is to enhance their quality of life and help them be as independent as possible. That is such a fundamental shift toward a more compassionate, person-first way of thinking. And if there is one single message that you hear over and over again in this final module, it's this right here. Timing is everything. Getting in there early with tailored support, things like behavioral therapies or extra help at school, is absolutely essential. It can make all the difference in long-term outcomes and really help children thrive. And that brings us to the end, not just of this topic, but of our whole semester. So let's talk about the big picture. What do you take with you from this classroom? What do you carry forward as you go out into the world?
I mean, really. After 11 modules, after all the reading and studying, what happens now? Where do you go from here? How does all this information about the human mind actually become a part of your life?
Well, it can show up in a lot of ways. For some of you, it might just be a deeper sense of empathy and understanding for the people in your own life. For others, it could have real, practical uses in whatever career you end up choosing. And hey, maybe for some of you, this class lit a fire. If you found yourself really drawn to this stuff, have you considered a career in mental health? The world desperately needs more compassionate, smart people in this field. And for every single one of us, this knowledge gives us the tools to be better advocates for neurodiversity and for mental health in general.
Look, you have put in an incredible amount of work this semester to get to this point. But in so many ways, your journey is really just getting started. I truly hope this course has given you more than just facts and figures, but also a bigger dose of compassion and curiosity. We wish you nothing but the best and continued success in all of your academic and professional journeys. Thank you so much for learning with us.